There is right now a rumor going around that BlackRock already owns XRP. And together with that, there are a couple of articles that have gotten published recently that are talking about a $10 to $20 XRP price tag. And me personally, as you guys might know, I always remain extremely bullish on this coin. Even in times like this, like the one we're in right now, where basically everything is going down almost every single day. Not by the craziest numbers really, but still down nonetheless. I still remain bullish and I still remain thinking about the bigger picture. I think about where we're going to be in the next few months rather than where we're going to be tomorrow or yesterday. And that brings me to, let's quickly grab it, article number 1. We'll have a few things to cover, but this one I think is most interesting. BlackRock already owns XRP. Is there validity to this claim? Why are so many people asking this question? You know, what's true about it? Well, let's set one thing straight. As it currently stands, the market is in a quite negative territory. But that's not because of Bitcoin itself. I'd say that's because of Trump, the uncertainties of if we're going to hit a recession or not, what the interest rate is going to do. Just generally, in the investment landscape, things are turbulent. And that reflects over into crypto. That also reflects over into the companies that are, I guess, ruling the crypto space and their investment choices. Now, we just had ourselves a new announcement with regards to the Ethereum staked ETF. I believe it just got delayed. I don't think it got denied, I think delayed. But it made me realize, we're making progress still. But a few months ago, or actually, remember, all the way back when the Bitcoin ETFs first came, there was a lot of news about it. There was a lot of talk about it. Right now, the most recent talk, if we're talking about what should bring crypto further, for the most part has either been Pakistan with their most recent announcements, MICA, of earlier, okay, sure, or it has to be Trump, right? And so if those three things are the main thing, out of all three, Trump is by far the biggest deal, because BlackRock, all that is from way, way, way further behind. It's only that BlackRock recently has been saying, yeah, we really think it's going to change things, and JP Morgan and all those banks saying, yeah, we really think it's going to be something. But if you think about it, recently it's been quite quiet, really. But to some extent, I do believe, and I still think about it, well, Trump said, hey, we want XRP, Solana, ADA, and then it kind of got faded away. I did not forget that they said that, though. And then we have Trump stating this about a Bitcoin digital reserve, or strategic reserve, I should say. It kind of phased out also. Nobody seems to be talking about it. I didn't forget. And then I start thinking about how BlackRock has been looking at all these US companies, US-based companies, and I realized, you know what? There's a very good chance indeed that if we look at Larry Fink's previous statements, in 2017 he hated crypto, he said, this is garbage, and later on he switched his mind, that he probably already knew at that point as well, this is probably something, so we need to at least look into it, that they have the same with XRP, etc. Right? They're not talking too much about it, but they're getting themselves in the right, proper position to make money off of it. And that could be by either accumulating or just providing rails or roads, or by working together with companies. I'm thinking that there's absolutely no chance they haven't strategically positioned themselves already. Now, it is quite a bold statement, though, to state that they already own some of these coins outright. I guess they have a partnership with some Ripple familiar companies through just because BlackRock owns everything, basically. But this post went pretty trendy. He said BlackRock already owns XRP, XLM, and HBAR. No official word, but anyone familiar with their playbook knows they're already a step ahead, locking in the most undervalued assets with serious long-term upside before the crowd catches on. You hear about it soon. And a good question people often have is, well, if that's the case, if that's true, then why isn't the price going up? And I have a very good counter for that. So again, if you're being logical about it, right? Why would the price go up? You're saying, well, because BlackRock is buying. Well, for any buyer, there's always a seller as well. If generally speaking, BlackRock is buying a bunch, but the narrative overall in the crypto space is very negative, the price could still go down. This could change if, for example, BlackRock states they're buying. Why? Well, because maybe at that point, people are less willing to sell or more people are willing to buy, meaning that sometimes just one actor, even if they're accumulating a lot, doesn't necessarily change that much unless it's known they're doing so. Same for the government. If the government decides to buy $1 million worth of Bitcoin a day, really, it's not that much money. All right, $1 million a day is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but for buying Bitcoin, it's not going to move the price at all, really. If they're announcing they're buying $1 million a day worth of Bitcoin, you understand that all of a sudden people are going to try front run that. And well, again, after a while, will balance itself out, even if they're buying every single day. But generally speaking, that's what causes the big spurt in price, etc. So two things. One, if they were buying, they probably wouldn't announce it until they have to. right? But I still believe BlackRock's book has mostly been by investing in companies that use this technology or how they can make money on this technology. But for example, investing in Ripple or buying Ripple, really, rather than buying these assets outright. But again, I'm not 100% sure on that. Maybe they're also very, very big in just buying these assets. It does make sense from some angles, but I'm thinking they're very much in the business of making money on the rails rather than the assets themselves. They could do both. I'm just saying that's been their playbook for a lot of their moves. But also another part, why is the price then not going up necessarily? Well, just because a big player, even if the US government were to buy XRP, it wouldn't probably pump the price up unless they announced it or something of that sort. But a lot of people are asking this, really. When I look at people keep saying, yet the price keeps going down. And then I realize, if you think that this price action is bad, you need to really get yourself checked, because in my opinion, what's happening to the price right now is extremely good. And that is to say, if we're taking a look at XRP's historic performance here, it's one of the coins that's held up best. For example, from the beginning of the year, that's the year-to-date number here, till now, right? It's one of the best performers in the entire top 100. It's not tanked like 50% or 70%. Ethereum is down 51% since the start of the year. XRP is up 2.5%. BNB is down 16%. Solana is down 31%. Just to give you an idea of how much these coins are down. XRP has done fabulously. And so if you keep saying, oh, but it's just going down, really? You think so? So in a market where Bitcoin is basically in bear market territory, it's not doing that bad, but still, it's not going up, really. We're not in a full-fledged bull market right now. We're still in the bull market, but not in a good bullish phase, right? We're in a little pullback sort of phase for maybe a few weeks, few months. It's been already a few months, actually. It's been 3 months. But in 2024, it was also 6 months before we saw the crazy spurt. But in my opinion, the question should only be, where do we see it end up going? Not where it's going to be tomorrow, or why is it going down a bit? It's all part of the cycle. And I've already described the crypto cycles to you 1,000 different times. But let me just again reiterate by saying, wherever it's at on a day-to-day basis doesn't matter that much. It's about a multi-month basis, and really it's about where it ends up at peak euphoria. So right now, everything is going sideways or down. There's a few outliers, but it's just negative. Nobody's making money, almost nobody. Most people are losing money, and the goal is not to lose too much in this bear phase. You only have a small percentage of time. It's 10% of the time is where you make 90% of the money. And that's really what we're all waiting for. We're waiting for the market to just shift around, go absolutely berserk, so you can 10x your portfolio in a very short amount of time. All we're doing right here is just hoping that period is not right after you sell, or basically we're preparing ourselves by buying these coins or having these coins for the moment that happens. So that's all we're doing right here. We're not trying to make money on a day-to-day. If you're trading, completely different story. But this is just for a matter of if you're buying these altcoins to have, right? If you're trading, obviously you're trying to make money on a day-to-day basis, which is why in times like this, trading is so much better than just hodling in times like this, because you can even short if you think prices are going down. And if you're looking for a platform to trade on, you can check out either Blowfin or WeX. On Blowfin, no KYC, you can use it from anywhere in the world, same for WeX. I think with Blowfin, you might need to use a VPN though, but I've used it from any country out there. It's fine, it just works. It never asks you for ID or nothing. And WeX, I believe you don't even need a VPN. Just check it out, links are down below for that. It's just platforms to trade on. And again, if you're not done yet, make sure you go ahead and press the like button on this video. But so to get back to it, whenever I talk about my XRP price predictions nowadays, I get a lot of criticism. But I personally don't think that a $10 or $20 per XRP price tag for this season, for this bull market, for this run, for the 2025 season, is that high. I think it's actually quite low. It's like a 4x from right here to get to $10, an 8x to $20. It's not that difficult. It's not that euphoric. It's not that optimistic. It's very, very realistic. I'd say more towards the $30 price tag is where you're quite optimistic, and $50, maybe even $100 is being too like, oh, best scenarios. But I think like $10 is like a baseline. I wouldn't even be that satisfied. I really wouldn't even be that happy. At $20 or so, I'd be extremely satisfied for sure, even for the end of this bull run. But then again, it's not that far off. I mean, even if in my normal scenarios, right? I always say XRP was able to hit $3 or so, $3.96, $3.50, depending on which exchange, on 2017, 2018 actually to start. I kind of feel as if it should 3x every run. So then in 2021, go to about $10, and then in 2025, go to about $30. So I think that's a logical progression because Bitcoin did it, Ethereum did it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Since it didn't, it only went down. This is the first time it went up. I kind of feel as if we just, since this was all during the lawsuit, have to recoup for that. But if we just put a little, negative multiplier on that and say, you know what, since it didn't peak there, we're just going to 3x from previous times, then it's about $10 or so. But if we say, you know what, actually, let's just assume that this is only a 1.5x time. It will be, $3 to 4.5. Let's just say $5 to be easy. Then 3x on that would be about $15. Or let's just say we were to 3x from this level, but then only 2x, again, would be at about $20. All that would not be too crazy looking at how the prices reacted previously. But that's all just in a matter of if Bitcoin turns around, these coins will probably follow. It always works that way. It doesn't have to, but it always does. So sometimes the easiest thing you could do is just go with the flow, understand how it usually goes, and expect it to continue on. That's what we've been doing for a few years, actually almost 10 years now. It's starting to get to 10 years, cool. And it always keeps working. Maybe at some point it won't, but this is what worked for me for the last 10 years, and I've made incredible sums of money, so it's not that hard, all right? Really, you wanna make money in crypto? It's not that hard. All you gotta do is just lock in a very small amount of time. The rest of the market, either trade it, or just don't lose too much by being in too small of an altcoin, or by being like me, buying too many altcoins, staying stuck with them, and then losing millions because of some hack or some stupidity like now with Mantra. So again, to reiterate, all I'm doing right now is mostly positioning myself for the run that's about to happen. I don't need to make money in this small an area. On trading, yes, but on holding these altcoins, not so much. It's not the period for that. You're not trying to buy an undervalued altcoin that goes up 4x or so for tomorrow. We're not in a phase where there's crazy euphoria all across the board. There's too much fear. That will come soon though. And if you're not ready, you're gonna miss it. It happens to every person, right? It must happen to you or whatever at some point that you're thinking, you know what, screw the, you leave, and all of a sudden the run happens and you weren't there at the start. And the start is usually where the craziest of the gains are. What I mean with that is, take a look at the XP run. It went from 50 cents to $3.50, right? But the 50 cents to $2 was in a snap. The $2 to $3.50, a 1.5x-ish, 1.7x, whatever. That actually took a bit of time, and the initial 4x was very, very quick. When the bull run, the real bullish phase of it starts, the start will be where most of the gains are at, or rather where it's easiest to keep them forever. So when we take a look at XRP again, it was at $3.40 only for a short amount of time, but still it's at $2. So if you got in at 50, you'd still be at a 4x, where if you got in later at $2, you could have sold at $3.40, but since it went back down, right now you might be at break even. It's just harder to keep your gains the later you are there. But sometimes the later you are there, also the more realistic you are that it will only last a short amount of time, the more you sell. Man, this crypto game is always fun. It's always interesting, but that was it for right now. I just wanted to quickly tackle the rumor of Blackrock owning it. We don't know, but it doesn't really matter either until they announce it. If they're secretly buying or stuff like that, you don't really have much benefit with that. Price targets, you already know, all right, 10, 20, it's not that deep, it's not that hard, it's not that crazy. All it takes is patience, but also it's almost stupid to put predictions in when the market's so bad, because you do not know how heavy of a bull market we're still gonna see. We've already seen some crazy times. How much more crazy can it get? I personally think way crazier, but it could also be that Trump just cuts it short by saying, you know what, we're actually stopping our whole crypto program, we're not gonna support it no more, and then all of a sudden the bear market starts early, or another COVID situation happens. Nobody knows for sure, right? But it's all based off of probability. Yeah, that's about it.